Okay. What's up, my little firecrackers? This is Blazing What Is, blazing his way into another video. And I just gotta say, it has taken forever. Much longer than I thought it would to complete the script for part 6 of What If Deku Was in One Piece. But it is done. It is done. It is 100% completed. And it covers the the rest of the Sky Island arc, the Skypiea arc, as well as the Foxy Pirates arc, where they have the battle with the Foxy Pirates. In that battle, 2 new members joined the crew. But other than that, I'm gonna keep these spoilers to, nothing. That's all I'm going to explain. I will be recording it after this is recorded. I don't think this is going to be that long of apart. I think I'm gonna get through this rather quickly, but yeah. Anyway, this is what if. Oh wait, hold on. I did forget something. There was something else I wanted to say. I knew there was something else I wanted to say. The next what if I'm doing as a filler is going to be, just to satisfy you and your need for what ifs that come from me and no one else. I am going to be continuing the What If Deku Was a Dragon Slayer series. However, I will still be keeping What If Deku was in High School DxD on hiatus. As I still want to, I prefer to read the light novels and then do an episode rather than watch the anime and do an episode, because the light novels are better. Don't get me wrong, I love to see the animated fight scenes, but the light novel is just so much more detail. So yeah, that one is still going to be on hiatus. It was for those of you who didn't know, it was previously called What If Deku Had the Boosted Gear, but I decided to call it What If Deku Was in High School DxD because the name made more sense to be called What If Deku Was in High School DxD rather than What If Deku Had the Boosted Gear. Because this way I could do a What If Deku Had the Boosted Gear, and then go through the whole of My Hero Academia instead, and it'd be more fun that way. Anyway, so moving on. This now with all the news out of the way, this is What If Bell Was a Demigod Part 4. Okay. Now, first thing that happens, I believe we left off with them getting Bell getting his butt kicked by that upper ranked level 3 guy whose name I can't pronounce. Hyacinthus, I believe his name was. Now, basically, things are going to go more or less to canon from there. So basically, the things that happen are, Bell still gets the invitation from, the 2 people that are, in the Apollo Familia, saying to go to the Banquet of the Gods, blah, 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 blah. And all that. So, what Bell does is he's been saving up some money. A lot of money. Now that he's level 3, they have a week or so before, you know, the actual, like, Banquet of the Gods start, right? Because you gotta have time to prepare for the Banquet of the Gods. They got about a week left. So they do an excursion into the dungeon down to floor, 18, and then Bell would go, being a level 3, he'd go and, test his strength. He wouldn't go too far. He wouldn't even go to floor 19. He would just go, go hunting the monsters that make their way up or down to floor 18. So that's what he's doing. So his status has increased, and Lily would go with him because she sees that she noticed that her experience goes up much better. Now, where Lily's status would be at by the time of the war game is a bit different. So Belle's status would be at H. No. He's increasing much faster. No, I'm stupid. No. We're going to put it at we're going to put his main stats at F by the time of this week, in that 1 week span before the Banquet of the Gods. I'm going to put him at about F for his main stats and G for his non-main stats. His main stats, as I've mentioned before, agility, strength, magic. Those are his main stats. The only other 2 stats that he has is what's it called? The only other 2 main stats that they have is dexterity, which I don't even know how that's different from agility, but okay. But apparently it is. And endurance, I think is what it's called. Actually, I have a book here. Hold on. I literally have the book right here, and it says defense. But I've heard it called endurance from time to time. But whatever. Anyway, so his the two special advanced abilities is how I've referred to them at all times, is still luck and immunity. At this point, luck would be H and immunity would be I, because, well, he just got it because he just leveled up to level 3. Now, moving on. So basically, that's where Belle's status would be at. Now, Lily's would be somewhere in the A and B rank, because, she does go with Belle a lot. And plus, I don't think I mentioned what her status would be at after the whole month time skip before, the whole Ishtar Familia fiasco. Now, I'm going to say, just going to say it, Belle is no longer a virgin, and one word. Orgy. Now, moving on. You all get to think about that, but moving on. So yeah. You want to know who was there? Obviously Ishtar was there. Aisha was there. Obviously Hestia was there. Lily was there. Aina was there. Aina? I don't care anymore. And Seer was there. Ryu was there. All the girls in the harem were there. Okay? Don't even question. But moving on past that now. So, yeah. Now, basically, okay. Sorry, still thinking about it. Anyway, so basically that's where their status is at. So they do go down and they have an excursion to the 18th floor, but no lower. Now, Lily, comes back up, blah, 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 blah. So they get all of that. So basically that's, filling in what I forgot to mention before. But Lily is, on the verge of a level up. But she isn't going to be as strong as Belle was on level 2 because her stats aren't as high as his were. But yeah. And I believe her main stats are... I'd put as... agility, dexterity, and magic. So if it was anything different before, I think it would be agility, dexterity, and magic. I think I had one of her main stats as strength before, but if we're going via Dungeons and Dragons logic, dexterity is also an attack stat, depending on your class. So I'm gonna go with dexterity because it makes more sense for Lily. She's more, flexible that way. She's not about the brute strength, kind of. And I hear some of you saying that, but she carries that backpack. That's just a skill that she has that allows her to carry everything that goes into that backpack, no matter how big it is. It's just a skill. Just saying. But yeah. Anyway, so, moving on. So, the whole banquet of the gods happens. So, yeah. So, oh wait, I was talking about how Belle was, saving up money. So basically, at this point, after, he's been saving up so much, he has about, 350 mil saved up. 350 million Valis. So he goes to, and he takes all this money, and he goes to Hephaestus. And, he drops, and, he comes in, totally on accident, right now. It just so happens that, he barges in, but, at this time, Hephaestus, is currently, cleaning off her eye patch, because you're not going to wear that eye patch, all the time and not clean it, come on, she has to clean it from time to time, so she doesn't have it on, and so Belle just barges in with large amounts of money. She had no warning whatsoever that he was coming, and all he sees is this large scar over her eye. Her eye can still open, but it's like whenever you see someone with has a scar over their eye, but their eye can still open. Their eye is kind of foggy and misty and whatnot. You know what I mean? It's got that weird light blue hue to it. Yeah, that's basically what it looks like. Belle's kind of mesmerized because that looks badass. She, covers her eye because she doesn't like the way it looks, because, if we're being honest here, the gods would see it as and I quote, imperfection, whereas all gods and goddesses are supposed to be, perfectly symmetrical, but having that scar over your eye not, ruins everything, ruins the symmetry, ruins the quote-unquote perfection. Now, in case you didn't realize this, apparently there is something, Hephaestus herself is actually self-conscious about her the eye that's under her eye patch, saying that it makes her look ugly. It's never directly, as far as I know, states what is actually under the eye patch. Just calls it her true face. I just imagine it to be a really badass scar over her eye, which is why I'm just saying it's a scar. But, she's actually really self-conscious about it. After she, finishes, because it doesn't take that long to wash an eye patch, she was like in the process of drying it off, and she quickly puts it back on, and Belt snaps out of his mesmerized state as she pretends like it didn't happen, and then in hopes that he does the same, in which he obliges her and just drops the amount, just leaves the money there, and she asks, "What's this for?" She's like, and he looks at her, he's like, "I'm not stupid." He points to the purple viper and says, "I know this sword cost a lot of money. I'm not a ass." Ooh, I censored the wrong part of that word. Funny. Let's pretend like that didn't happen. But yeah. So I laugh too much when I'm doing this. But yeah, so she says, "Wait here a second," and she counts out the money. And no, it's not like 1, 2, 3, or it's not even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No. It goes by a lot faster than that. We're talking about someone who runs a business here. They'd be able to tell, if any of it is fake or any of it is real or whatnot. So, yeah, that's how it works. So, that's like 350 million Valis. I'm gonna say, the Hestia knife was like 200 million, I believe it was. But I'm just gonna say this one was 350 million because it's just it's a long sword instead of a dagger, which probably should be worth a lot more, but I don't care. But I'm just gonna say 350 million. Boom, it's paid off. No more debt. Yeah. So, because Hestia still didn't tell him that she was in debt. But he's not an idiot. He knows she was in debt. It's literally a longsword made by Hephaestus. Hephaestus herself. Yeah. He's not dumb. So, yeah. So he just saved up as much as he could, and now that, he has what he assumes is enough, and if not enough, it would pay off the majority of it. And Hephaestus says, "This is like the exact amount you needed." It's like, "Oh, good. I didn't want to have to." Good. I was hoping it was. I wasn't gonna have to, save more. I was hoping it was enough. And well, anyway, I should probably get going. Familiar affairs and stuff. He says, "Oh, yeah, right, one more thing," as he's walking out. And she's like, "What is it?" And, he's walking out. "You look good without the eye patch. You should take it off more often." And he just walks out like he didn't do anything strange. He's just like, "What?" Vice is just there like, he didn't say what I think he just said, did he? And we move on. So, now we're at, the banquet, and the banquet goes more or less the same. Except, Bell threw the first punch. So, he can't actually fight back when, he says that. He's like, yeah, actually, what he does say instead? He just says, that's strange. I only remember hitting his face. Why is he but he's in a full body cast. That ain't right. Ain't, but, no one gives a shit. Because they want a war game, and they could smell one. Hestia can tell that something's, different with Bell. The gods have influenced him in a way. Now he's like, now instead of thinking he was like weak as like any other, level 2 or level 3, he actually knows that he's a demigod, and now he has a lot of confidence behind him. And with good reason too. With really good reason. But yeah. So Hestia tries to decline it before she could say anything. Izuku, Bell. So close. I almost did. I didn't completely say his name. So something. Anyway, so Bell puts his hand on her shoulder while, staring at Apollo, and more staring at what was his name again? Hecatoncheles? Dumbass bitch boy? I don't know. The captain of Apollo Familiar. That guy. I don't know. I hate him. His name is so hard to pronounce too, so I don't care. But yeah, so it's a thing, and basically Hestia can sense that his confidence that he didn't have before, and that he really wants to fight them, and that she can tell just from looking at him that he knows there's no other way of getting around this. So she lets out a sigh like, oh my god, and she accepts the war game because there's no way of getting around this. Basically what ends up happening is same as in canon, except Lily is already a part of their familia. So yeah. But what happens is Lily actually takes so Lily is actually sparring with Bell whenever. So Bell still ends up training with Eyes and Tione. Sorry, no, Tiona, I think. Tiona is the flat-chested one. A for flat. Got it. Okay. Tiona, Tiona still has a thing for Belle because she doesn't have a thing for the people in her familia, but she still finds him. He still reminds her of Argonaut, even though he's not like Argonaut. In this, he's not as like Argonaut. He still wants to protect and to save as many people as he can. So I guess kind of like Argonaut, but not enough like Argonaut that he wants to be a hero. He just wants to save people, basically. He doesn't see it as being a hero, he sees it as being a kind person. Basically, he's not enough like Argonaut in order to get the Argonaut skill. Anyway, yeah. Moving on. So, yeah. So basically, they still get that, Hestia still stalls for a week. Now, at the end of this, week, Wealth has transferred to the Familia because he knows how strong Belle is, but with the numbers, come on. Mikoto transfers to Hestia Familia because, from as far as I know, even in the canon, it was to help make up for the wrongs that she did in the dungeon. So she still does it for that reason, because she feels like she hasn't repented enough or helped enough in order to earn their forgiveness. Yeah, so that, yeah, so they still all transfer familias, and while that is going on, Belle still does his training with eyes, blah 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 blah. Now, Tiona, at the end of this, I told you what his status was before. Now at the end of this, how do I put this? At the end of this, his status is looking pretty good. His his status are basically on par with the captain of Apollo Familia, which I believe was level 3. Pretty sure he was just a level 3. Basically his status is on par with him, though in terms of overall strength, Belle is way more powerful. And I will do a whole explanation of how much more powerful he is at the end of the war game, but we'll get there later in this part. I'm breaking story too much, man. But anyway, that's just me without a script. So basically, actually his status would be better because Captain of Apollo Familia doesn't level all of his stats, while Belle does level all of his stats. So his main stats, strength, agility, and magic, would all be, I'm going to say, rank C. And then, everything else is rank D. Yeah. It's just not to make him overpowered, because let's be honest, he's not going to be good at everything, but all of his stats do, get up there. So technically he's good at everything, but that's just comparative to other people. So yeah, Lily actually ends up with her having her status at A in C range for her lower stats. Actually, Did I say endurance would be one of Lily's main ones? Because she's gotten hit a lot. Whatever. She's more of a person who dodges rather than, would take a hit anyway. So I'd say dexterity, which I believe is the more, dodging, It's basically your defense, but you're dodging instead of taking the hit. But instead of taking the hit, you're dodging the hit. So I think it's more of a dodge thing. But anyway, moving on. So I'd say that, her speed would be much greater than Wealth's speed, even though Wealth is a level 2. Because Wealth didn't level speed that much. He was more, brute strength kind of a person. So I'd say at one point in time, by the end of the week, Lily actually beat Wealth, which, even surprised herself. Like, she knew her status grew a ton, but she didn't know that much. She didn't know it was, like, by that much. Now, with this, since a level 1 beat a level 2, and that's technically considered a great feat, Lily would advance to level 2, and the rest of the week is just, balancing out her new level, and, getting a bit up there, but it's not enough to break through I. So Lily is a level 2 at this point. And so basically everyone in Hestia Familia is level 2 except for Belle, who's a level 3. Okay, got it? Good. Now, the war game starts. Belle speaks to Wealth, saying, look, I don't want to make you do something you don't want to do, but we might need some magic swords to take out, because we don't have numbers. We need the raw power. Like, we cannot afford to lose this. Or I can't, because I swear to God, if I have to work for that man, I will kill him with my own hands. Like, I don't care if he's a god. I will choke the man until he dies. I will take that man, climb to the top of Babel Tower, and toss him off. Like, do not test me. I despise this man. Like, look, I'm okay with being multiple people, but I'm straight. Who was that? Nah, I'll look later. Anyway. So yeah. He's like, nah, bruh, trust me. I don't want to get into this gay ass harem, man. Look, be gay, but don't be gay to me. It's okay to be gay, but I ain't gay. Don't make me be gay just because you are. That's not cool. Which it isn't, and you shouldn't do that. It's not cool. It's the same as a straight person trying to make a gay person straight just because they're straight. Like, nah, dude, that ain't cool. Just no. Just no. No. Now that we've gotten off that controversial topic, moving on. Wealth ends up making 3 magic swords. And he also makes Mikoto a katana. Now, this still his sword, Lily's daggers. We're gonna replace one of them with this one, and this one is a dark fire blade. Basically, what it does is the flames are pitch black. I mean, like, pitch black. Like, oh my God, no light will escape this mother. And extremely destructive. Extremely so. Then there's this one. My God, shut up. And this one is, it's like a dragon's breath, basically. That's something for later. And then this is Makoto's katana that he makes. And then these are just kunai that he made for Lily for, stealth. Anyway, moving on. And yeah, so those are the weapons they have, minus the shield. Ignore it. It doesn't exist yet. But yes. Otherwise, those are all their weapons, plus the, I believe it was a lightning magic sword that they add, that one in the original, so there's still 3 magic swords. Bell has the Dragon's Breath one. On him, actually, you know what? We'll give it to Welf. Well, it's much more of a great sword, which Welf is more adept at wielding. Now, how, now, he still gets the item from Seer, even though he doesn't need it. Now, we're gonna go in to this, and everything goes more or less the same, except it's a lot more destructive, and they end up sending 75 people, which, to, take out the, elf using magic swords. All 75 are taken out, but so are the 2 magic swords that Ryu is wielding. And she could still up anyone else there. She's level 4, like, come on. Now, Bell, I really have to stress Bell, otherwise I'm gonna call him Izuku instead. But, Bell ends up, still going through, and the one girl who keeps giving predictions and no one believes her, which, if you didn't know, it's because she's based off a person who was cursed to have extremely accurate predictions, but no mortal person, like, ever will, like, throughout all of time, no one will believe her, even after her predictions are proven correct. Now, I say mortal man for a reason. I don't know if it was, like, literally everybody in existence, including the gods themselves, or if it was only mortals, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that it was, mortals only. Ignore those. It's just my fan fiction. Thank you to whoever read that. Not that you're on my YouTube channel. It'd be highly unlikely. But yeah. So, basically that. So, she says, lightning, and they're like, what are you talking about? I see no storm clouds and all that, like they did in canon. But in this case, and she says, no, lightning will rise. Which she does do in canon, and I just really like that line. It's amazing. As, a lightning bolt just shoots through the floor underneath them as Bell comes up. It's like, sup, bitches. Now, in this case, so the battle goes on, and it's pretty even, as Bell is holding back until they are alone. Like, no one else is with them at all. And he says, I think it's about time we end this. As he holds his hand up, and remember, literally, like, everyone in Orario, like, all the gods that are in Orario are watching this. Even Zeus, who's, like, somewhere else right now, but we have no idea where he is watching this right now. Well, as he holds his hand up, and flames begin to spiral around them, creating an arena in which no one can come in or out without dying. As storm clouds appear above them, as the fire's just twisting up and up and up and towards the storm clouds, as the lightning starts twisting down and down and down towards the ground, and just creating this like immense storm of fire and lightning. It's just sparking everywhere, the flames flickering, almost hitting anyone that comes close, like as a warning to anyone who tries to come close not to come close. And this is just a display of power, really. This is just a power move. This is just a flex, man. And all of the gods are getting that same sensation. This isn't an arcanum. It's different. This is sheer divinity. Because it isn't an arcanum. You can't have an arcanum unless you're 100% God. And since he's only 50% God, he doesn't have an arcanum. This is sheerly the power of his divinity itself. Now, as for everyone's reactions to this, all of the mortals are like, what the actual, how is he, he didn't chant any spell or anything, it's just happening. While Freya and Otaro, the really powerful people like Freya Familia level 5s and up are like, oh shit, that man's like part god or something. It clicks in their head that he's like part god or something. He's got to be something. Like part spirit, part god or something. But that if he was part spirit, he wouldn't have anywhere close to that amount of power. Plus the divine aura coming off of him, he has to be part god, because he's definitely not 100% god. They've gotten that much. Now, as for the people in Loki Familia who would understand, I put that at the dwarf Gareth, who is a level 6, Finn, who's the leader. Everyone knows Finn. Finn is amazing. He not best boy though. Best man maybe. Yeah. So now how it happens is Riveria is also, understands it. Eyes thinks that he's like her, and spoiler alert, I'll give you skip ahead 10 seconds, starting now. She's half spirit, half human. Okay, so right now you should probably be back if you skipped ahead 10 seconds, I would think. But yeah. So, basically, she thinks that he's like her, and, and that's how he has that level of power. Or it's just that he's a lot more of that than she is, and that gives him that much more power. That's how she's thinking of it. She's not immediately thinking God, basically. And yeah. So Apollo's like, shit. He's not winning now. And, some of the gods are like, some of the gods are like, what are we going to do now? Like, there's a literal mortal with the power of a god. What are we going to do? As Bel just brings down the hammer, as this bolt of fire and lightning just comes down in the shape of a hammer, because why not, and just pummels the man. He's not dead, but he is on the verge of death. As Bel just waves his hand and the storm disappears entirely, as if it had never been there in the first place. And, the match is considered over, and Belle has won, and Hestia Familia has won. Now, everyone, except for Hestia and Aina and Lily, who've been told about the situation, are all just like, what the actual, you know? Actually, you know what? Ishtar Familia also wouldn't be surprised because they've seen his power before. They've seen his divinity be shown. Freya Familia, Freya and Otarl wouldn't be that surprised, as Freya has been spying on Belle, so I think she would have noticed that. But yeah, so that's how it works. So yeah. Anyway, moving on, we're getting into the stuff from the light novel, but not from the that's not in the anime. Okay, so this has gotten a lot longer than I thought it would. Yeah, power move, man, power move. Now I'm gonna start off with Lily. So basically, what happens is, I'm skimming through a lot of this. No detail whatsoever, I'm just telling you. So, this is spoilers for the light novel, so if you do plan on reading the light novel, wait until you've read light novel volume 8 before, you watch this. Because this is all in volume 8. Now, basically, Finn sees, Lily being brave and of the Prüm race. Now, Finn's goal is to, be the, symbol of, hope for, the Prüm race and bring back, the Prüms, the thing that made the Prüms who they are, which was their bravery. The one thing the Prüm race had was their bravery, and eventually they lost that bravery. Now, what happens is, the Prüm, so he knows that he's probably not going to be able to do that himself, so he wants an heir that is 100% pure-blooded Prüm. So he's looking for another Prüm to, who's brave, who has, that one defining trait of the Prüms, which is bravery. And he sees Lily has that. So, and this is more or less canon at this point, because that's actually, why. So he goes, so he goes to Belle and asks, for, if she, can. At this point, they're already dating, but he doesn't want to make Finn look like an idiot. Because no one knows that they're dating yet. It's not really a thing that's been announced. It's not public, because, they don't need to make it public. And he doesn't want to make Finn look like an idiot. He respects Finn. As not only as a powerful person, but as a kind person. Because, he still let them, sleep in their, campground when he first went to Floor 18. So, he respects Finn a lot. Anyway, so he's just going to say, he'll consider it, and, he goes to Lily saying that, and explains, what Finn said and his reasoning for it. And that he'd like to, and that her decision is her own, and he doesn't want to influence her, if she's not, wanting to be with him anymore and is willing and wants to be, with someone of her own race instead, and he's okay with that. That's her decision. And he makes it extremely clear that he doesn't want her to, but if it's what she wants, then, it's her decision. She can do what she wants. So she goes and, tells Finn that she's in love with somebody else, and, Finn he's an asshole. He's a really nice person. And so he accepts it and says that's understandable. Said, no, that's fine. There are plenty of fish in the sea, kind of thing. And, they, talk and, become good friends of the same race, basically. But it will never be anything more than friends. Like, ever. Never friends with benefits. Never dating. None of that. Never. Making that clear now. Now, Mikoto, now, like, they're going into the dungeon and shit right now, right? And, so everyone starts noticing that after they joined the Familia, Makoto and Wealth, they start noticing after they joined their Familia, their status started going up fast. Give me a minute. Okay, apparently my brother was stretching. Fucking that. Sound like he's being murdered or something. Like, oh god. Anyway, it's just hilarious. But yeah. Hold on, I'm still recording, right? Cool. But yeah. So, they're getting to know each other better, basically. This is just Makoto getting to, know, Belle a lot better. That's basically all that happens. You good now? So yeah, that's basically all that happens. In the canon, it was just, Makoto, getting to know that her god is terrible with women. Because he never knows, he doesn't understand what he's doing. Her god is just being nice to people, and women are taking it the wrong way. Now with Wealth and Hephaestus, instead of sending the Ares Familia has caught wind of Bell and his level of power. Now, so what happens is they try to go after Bell instead of Wealth. And basically what happens is Finn figures out that they're aiming for something inside of Orario and are just using the attacks on the outside as a diversion. In the canon, they were going after Wealth because they found out he could make magic swords. But the level of power that Bell displayed, which is much greater than any magic sword, everybody, they're like, yeah, let's go after that kid. So, they try to do that. Bell's like, okay. And you can't make me. And then they're like, oh, but we have these Crozo magic swords from 20 something years ago, from 40 years ago or some shit, And, was like, okay, see what I do to your kingdom, and we'll destroy all of Arario if you don't, come with us. And he says, okay, see what happens if I destroy your kingdom and kill your god, and then, where's that gonna leave you? And they're all like, shit. They're all like, fuck. He's got us there. Like, we can do it, but then he'd just come back and hit us harder. Like, at least when we're fighting Arario's adventurers, they're not going to kill us, but, this guy, he won't hesitate. Like, we kill people here, he'll kill people, there. He'll destroy all of Rakia without hesitation. Like, yeah, see? And while this is happening, Hephaestus Familia, comes in. Because, they were told to, guard Bell, since they feel like, Finn was like, they're either going after Welf or Bell. So they have Hephaestus Familia guard both. He feels like they're more going after Bell. He gets that throbbing pain in his thumb that he normally gets. It's when he has a hunch, when his hunches are normally correct, that they're going after Bell instead of, Welf. But, just to play it safe, he has them guard Welf as well, but he has, like, more of a hunch that they're going after Bell. So, they guard both. So, they're there. Now, basically what's happening here is, after, they've been detained, and, sent to, the brig, the prison, what accounts to a jail here, they go to, hold on. You gonna scream again? I'm gonna make fun of him. I'm gonna use that against him so much. Oh, man. Anyway, so, yeah, basically, when they detained him and walked away, and, the rest of the Familia leaves, except for Hephaestus, who wishes to talk to Bell to clarify what he said earlier. And Bell's just like, look. And she's like, what did you mean earlier when you said I should take off the eye patch more often? And, she goes on to say, like, how God's always treated her different because she didn't look perfect because of the scar over her eye, blah, 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 blah. And Belle's just like, okay, but am I a god? Like, I look at the gods, like, I might be part god, but I'm not complete god, I look at gods, and I see so many imperfections, and some are gamblers, some are just idiots, some are perverts, some are assholes, I see so many flaws in these gods, and to be perfectly honest, a physical flaw is I'd much rather be with a god that has the perfect personality, like you do, than a god that has the perfect looks, like Freya, but a screwed up personality. Because if my hunch is correct, she's been watching me for the last 2 to 3 months, and it's getting uncomfortable. Which isn't wrong. She has been watching him for the past 2 to 3 months. And he says, I don't have any evidence to, confirm that it was her, but I have a feeling it's her. And that's a personality flaw right there. It's called stalker. Anyway. So, yeah. So, he he's getting in there. He ain't there yet, but he's getting there. Anyway, now what happens after this is Ina. Okay. We're getting into this, guys. Okay. Now, Ina is, going with her friend to lunch, and she bumps into this half-dwarf, which I believe is, half-dwarves are much taller than actual dwarves. They're more human-sized. But, yeah, so, just saying. He's a real burly mountain man, you hear? Much deeper than that, but I can't do a deep version of that accent. If you know what I'm saying. And, then another elf getting in an argument over Ina. And now, Ina, you guys know what I'm saying when I say either of them, so just get over it. Now, these are two adventurers that Ina used to work with. They're both level 3s. So Bell could easily kick their ass even before, even if he didn't know he was a demigod at the level he's at. He can, not in the canon, but, at level 3, being almost level 4, which all of his stats after that war game are S, or at least S. But, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Now, what happens is, they're fighting over her because they both fell in love with her as she used to be their advisor. But not anymore, as the guild noticed she had way too much work on her, and so they, moved a bunch of adventurers to, other people. So now they're trying to, now they're basically, trying to meet with Ina, like, whenever they can, which causes a lot of arguments between the two. Now, eventually, they start, following her like weirdos, and she feels like someone's watching her, and Ina feels like someone's watching her, so she gets Belle to, basically be her bodyguard. And then all of a sudden, once the demigod that just created a storm of fire and lightning that absolutely destroyed everything, starts guarding her, they just stop, And that's how that goes. And they're dating, so it's not like he wouldn't do it. Anyway, so now then to Seer, which if you didn't know about this is kind of like foreshadowing for season 3. So if you haven't seen season 3, slight spoilers, but it's more foreshadowing. Basically, what happens is Seer hasn't been coming to work the past few days, and Belle's like, my girlfriend hasn't been coming to work the past few days. Like, what's up with that? So he follows her and finds out that she's going to and helping an orphanage, and Belle's like, oh shit. And all these kids want to become adventurers someday, and he's like, I have idea. I have a big house. Y'all see where I'm going with this? I'm not sending kids into the dungeon yet. We're gonna wait until they're 14. So 5 years? No, I think they're 11 or so. I think the oldest one's 11 or something. So 3 years. I don't know. No, the oldest one might be 9. So 5 years. Yeah. Let me say the oldest one is 9, so at least 5 years. But yeah, and then they say that there's been these these noises coming from, beneath Daedalus Street, because that's where this orphanage is. It's in Daedalus Street. So, he, accepts, and he goes down. And what he finds is a labyrinth underneath Daedalus Street. And it has Daedalus's name. Because in case you didn't know this, Daedalus was the name of the person who created Daedalus Street. And, so it has Daedalus's name around it. And what they find is basically, I believe it's called a berserker or something like that, something along those lines. And it's basically like a red minotaur, but twice as big. Like the red minotaur that Belle fought in canon, but twice as big. The really big minotaur that Otarl trained, and it basically became this weird reddish color. At least that's how I remember it. I might be delusional. But yeah. Basically it was twice as big as that. And it's red, I think. I don't know. I don't have a good depiction of it. I haven't read through all of Volume 8. I've just played the Dawn Memo game, which covered Volume 8 in an event. If you don't know what the Dawn Memo game is, it's a pretty fun game. I play it. It's pretty fun, and it tends to cover some of the things that the anime skips, but are actually in the light novel and are canon. But yeah, so basically this is that the fact that there's something underneath Daedalus Street is, this is the whole foreshadowing. This entire chapter in Volume 8 is foreshadowing for Season 3. Anyway, not with so much Seer, but with the whole underground, underneath Daedalus Street, this labyrinth underneath Daedalus Street. And what he finds is this, the barbarian that's basically a minotaur on steroids. And, what Bell does is he dual wields this sword as well as the purple viper. And so he's taking on this, barbarian pretty easily, back, and he's just back and forth, as he just bops him right in the chest. And it's through the magic stone, killing it. In the canon, he needed help from someone from Freya Familia, but we're not going to get into that. Anyway, moving on. So, after that, we have the, what was the last few episodes of the anime. It was the last 1 or 2 episodes. Basically, what happens is, Hestia still works, herself. Well, because she also she doesn't want to feel like she's not doing anything. She wants to feel like, she's contributing somewhat. So, she still works, and, still end up getting captured by, Ares. And, Belle just, no. As he just, jumps after him. There's not as much of an argument between Loki and himself, with Loki saying, "Don't go, you're just going to get in the way," and him saying, "I need to go." Well, Belle's just did you not see what I did? Bitch. Also, they still do move into, basically Apollo's old house, because why the not, yeah, so that's still the same. Where they live is still the same. Now, I'm doing all of this before the whole recruitment thing, so that I don't forget to do any of this afterwards. So the recruitment will come after this. We'll say the recruitment came after the whole weird, strange kidnapping thing. Basically, Bell comes in with, fire and lightning around him. He's fucking pissed. And, he grabs, Hestia, and, they, still, and they still, end up falling into the pit because he doesn't realize what he's doing because he's just pissed off right now. I would say that he kills Ares, but I think Ares is still relevant after this, and I don't want to, do anything. If he's not relevant after this, if I find that he's not relevant after this, I'm going to retcon it saying he killed the bitch, but, but I don't think he's, relevant after this. At least I don't think he is. Yeah. So he just goes, and, everything basically is canon from there. The interactions are basically canon from there. And, yeah, so they end up going to, what's it called? And they end up going back to Arario. And, so basically, they don't have debt anymore. Like, Belle tells Hestia, like, yeah, I paid off your debt. And she's like, what? I was supposed to do that myself, blah, 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 blah. She says, shut up and accept the help. Like, come on. And do you know how much, like, we're trying to recruit new people here, yeah? If we had a debt, no one would join us. Think about it. Just accept help when you need it. God damn. See, he's like, I knew you would act like this. That's why I already paid it off. Anyway. So, I believe it's, Cassandra is the one who, has the, prediction ability. Now, Belle, not being a mortal man, believes all of her predictions, as he knows all of them have always been accurate. So since he isn't mortal, he believes them. Since he is a race that didn't exist before the curse was, made, like, his race is technically considered demigod, not half human, half god. Like, it doesn't work that. It's like basically an entirely different race unto itself. It's a race that was born from two different races, basically. Now, what happens is, since he's technically a new race that didn't exist when the curse was inflicted, he can believe all of her predictions. And since the gods can't use their arcanums and therefore are therefore technically mortal, none of them believe any of her predictions. So he believes her, and he acts as such. He says, "Oh yeah, I believe you," and he goes and he takes the pillow and that she's looking for and gives it to her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, he actually believes me." And Belle says to them, if you two are looking for a familia, I know someone who, needs help. And he points them in the direction of, it wasn't Takemi Kazuchi, Miyake. Lord Miyake could use people in his familia. So if you could do me a favor and help him out, he's a good friend who really needs adventurers to help his familia out. He is more of a merchant familia, but having a few adventurers never hurts, right? Plus, if you ever need help in the dungeon, you being in a friendly familia, we could still go into the dungeon together if you ever needed the help. Kind of a thing. So, yeah. Basically, when it starts happening, everyone wants to join, but they have to go through this because everyone realizes how powerful Belle is. So even more people than in canon wanted to join. Now, what happens is, a few blacksmiths join, and A few actual adventurers join, and a few um, you know supporters join. Now, what happens with the supporters is there actually only one supporter joins, and it is a girl, and she is a Sheanthrope. No, it's not Sheanthrope. Sheanthrope is dog person. No, she's a werewolf. But she's not that strong. She's fairly weak, but she has the same skill that Lily does. She can carry a huge ass backpack without any negative side effects, and she's really extremely shy. Uncharacteristic of a werewolf, I know. No, but yeah, basically that's how she is. Then there's a few adventurers that join. They're indescript. We don't care about them. One's a girl. We care about her. That's just so sexist. It just sounded so sexist. It's really just I don't want to have to create a bunch of OCs, and I'm just like putting them in there so that the Familia can make more money. But basically, they're all kind-hearted people. Like, if you weren't a kind-hearted person, you were rejected from the Familia. Like, if you didn't pass the test to tell if you were, really kind-hearted person or not, you were rejected from the Familia immediately. Like, you're not getting in. That's basically the test. Hestia, well, not Hestia, but Hestia wouldn't like reject female members because she really wants, the Familia to grow, but she's just going to reject the people that she doesn't like. Lily is kind of jealous of the new supporter, as well, technically oh fuck, I feel so bad. Haruhime, there it is. I forgot her name. I'm sorry. That's why I felt bad. I forgot her name. But she was like kind of jealous of like Haruhime, at first, which is a part of the harem. Just saying, in case that wasn't obvious. So orgy. Just in case you all needed a reminder, she was at the orgy. Anyway, moving on. She was a little jealous of Haruhime at first, but, Haruhime is a different kind of supporter, and she's less jealous of them because now she's growing faster as well. Haruhime doesn't, like, fight at all, so her status doesn't go up that much. So, she's still staying at that low level that she is. She's still staying at level 1. But her magic does go up, whenever she does use her magic, it goes up a lot faster. Now, there's a mix of male and female adventurers that come in. Is that? Anyway, so there's a mix of male and female adventurers that come in, and not all the girls are going for Belle. Like, some of the girls and some of the guys that came in do end up getting together and dating and blah 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 blah. So not all the girls are going for it. Just the one supporter that came that happened to be a female werewolf, as well as the female blacksmith who also joined. So basically what happens is we're gonna time skip a month, basically. I think this all happens over 1 month period. Like, the events of volume 8, I'm gonna say happen over like a 1 month period. So basically what they've done is they've had a much larger smithy area built that has, that is separated into sections for each smith. There are 3 smiths in the Familia. 2 guys, one being Welf, one being an indiscriminate person that we don't care about. I mean, he's a pretty good smith. He's an armor smith, whereas Welf is considered the weaponsmith, while this new male smith is considered the armor smith, and the female smith, which we're going to say is She's just a normal human, like Welf, but she's, really good with a hammer. She has, silver hair, so it's hard. It's hard for her to keep it clean, especially when she works at a smithy. But yeah, so basically the ones that I'm like actually going into descriptions for, they're assume they're going to be added to the harem at some point. Basically what happens is, she has silver hair. She has these emerald eyes because, anyway, moving on. And she's good at she's proficient at making both weapons and armor. While Welf can make really good armor, he's much better at making weapons. And while the indiscriminate smith is really good at making armor, but can make can make good weapons, he makes much better armor than he does weapons. But she does, she could do either or, like, you need a weapon, I can get you a really good weapon. You need armor, I make really good armor. But with, on the armor side, she's only good at making heavy armor. So whenever Bell needs, light armor, he goes to Welf. Because Welf is the best at making light armor, because the other two are good at heavy armor and stuff like that. You need, like, a long sword or a great sword, she's got you covered. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say, like, a dagger or a short sword or, light weapons, she's got you covered. While Welf and the other guy are good at making heavy weapons, and Welf is the best at making heavy weapons. Don't mind that. Anyway, so what happens is, that's basically that. So that's the, end of the month. It's about the halfway point that Hestia gets kidnapped, and, they, so basically they have half a month to get to know the new members of Hestia Familia. So now, in total, there are about 20 members of Hestia Familia. 3 smiths, 3 supporters, the rest are adventurers. Now, so when they go down, like, all 20 of them go down into the dungeon together. So everyone in Hestia Familia knows the secret that Bell is a demigod now, because they're just explaining that to the world. They're releasing that to the world, saying that they're like telling the guild that he's actually a demigod, and that he only recently found out that he was a demigod, and that he thought he was human the entire time. So they don't charge Hestia Familia with, lying to the guild, because, Bell was the one who, informed the guild of, his race, his name and his race, So, and since he thought he was human, they're letting her slide because he's the one who gave them the information. And since he thought he was human, he told them he was human. But now they're telling him he's a demigod, and now the guild basically has to explain to literally everyone else that Bell is actually half human, half god. And Bell is still allowed in the dungeon as, he's already been in there, and, like, not letting him in would just be, you can't do that. He's already been in there, so we can't just, like, not let him. And Uranus is like, just let him in. This will be interesting. It's not like he's doing any harm to anybody, so just let him keep going into the dungeon. It's like, I don't see a reason not to let him go into the dungeon, so let him go into the dungeon. And, yeah, I think that pretty much covers what's going on. Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot to describe the werewolf support her. She is extremely shy, and her werewolf ears do droop a bit. Just to emphasize the shyness, they droop a little bit, which is hard for some werewolf ears, man. Like, how do you do that? But her hair is golden, and her eyes are like this piercing blue color. Yep. That's just hot. But anyway. And her tail is also a nice golden color. She's not a Renard, so her ears don't go as high. She's a werewolf, so so the distinct difference between her and Haruhime is the fact that her ears are much shorter and her tail is much bushier and longer. But yeah, if anyone does fan art and wants to like try and draw these characters that I've come up with right on the spot and totally didn't have planned before, which is actually true. I literally came up with them just now, so like, please don't be saying like, oh my god, like, no, you had to prepare this. No, I actually literally just came up with them, like, on the spot. I'm just like, oh yeah, that sounds cool, I'm doing that. But anyway, that's where I'm gonna end it here. So I'm ending it here. For those of you who want to stick around, I'm going to be talking about the next, basically, filler what if while I do the whole script writing process for What If Deku Was in One Piece. Basically, I'm just going to start doing the what ifs that I had planned before, so it's not going to be Bell what ifs, it's going to be more Deku-verse what ifs. So I am going to be picking up the hiatus on What If Deku Was Dragon Slayer. I don't remember if I said this at the beginning or not, so I'm going to say it again. So after that, I'm going to pick up What If Deku Was a Dragon Slayer again and, continue that series. After that, the next series that I'm going to do is What If Deku Had a Living Art Quirk, or what's it called? I don't know what to call it, but it's basically his quirk in that series is going to be whenever he draws something, he can pull it into the real world. So I think living art quirk makes more sense. Makes sense, but not all the things that he draws are necessarily living. Like, he can draw a sword out and then pull it out into reality. Boom, sword. He can draw a pit and then he could, like, pull and then drop it, and all of a sudden there's a hole in the ground. Like, kind of a thing, you know what I mean? So you know those illusions where you make it look like, those optical illusions where you make it look like there's a hole in the ground? If he draws that and then he pulls it and then lets it go, and then it'll go boom, all of a sudden all the floor there is missing and you just got a bottomless pit. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically, how it works. He can draw a diamond and he can pull it out into the real world, boom. It's a 100% pure diamond. Like, that's basically what his quirk is going to be in that series. And then that's the one I'm going to do after that. And then all the other ones that I had planned, after that, I'm going to do those. But other than that, this has been Blazing What Ifs. Blazing away.